I know. Good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started because we have a lot of stuff to get through, and I know that we're losing some folks. So we want to push through as quickly as we can. So I'm calling this meeting to order. It's August 18th, 2022, and it is 9:31 a.m. Amy, could you do roll call, please?
Vicky Cartwright.
Here.
Kathy Donnelly.
Here.
Beam Fur.
Here.
David Kenton.
Here.
Donna Korn.
Here.
Don Liberta.
Present.
Sherry Afric Olafson. Tom Powers.
Here.
Paula Thatchy. Jeffrey Wood. A quorum has been established.
Thank you, Amy. So Cindy just reminded me to remind you all that we have this wonderful new setup. So it is wireless. So just make sure so the people over here virtually can hear us. Keep it close to you. If you press it, it goes on. And if you press it, it goes off. It's so very simple. So thank you. Speak in to the microphone. All right. So
I'm sorry, if I could just note for the record, I saw Judge Afric Olafson, although we didn't hear her say anything, she did pop up, so she is present. And did Kathy say present? Okay.
So we're just going to take a moment to arrive. Thank you. So thank you to Tom for a reminder. So we do just want to take a moment to remember Detective Echeverry, who passed away in the line of duty in Miami-Dade. So if we could please take a moment, our prayers go out to the family. And of course, we thank him for his service. Thank you. So we were going to start off with a farewell to Judge Gillespie. For those of you, excuse me, that haven't heard, his time on the board is up, but he's not here just yet. So I think I'm going to hold off in hopes that he does come and we could see him in person and do that. So I'll hold off for a few minutes or a little bit. Is that okay with everybody? Great. And then I want to welcome the judge that's going to be taking over for Judge Gillespie. And I've had the pleasure of talking to her, and she's worked in the dependency system, and really she's quite wonderful. So I'm very excited to have her sitting on the board with us, and you guys will love her as well. So just a huge welcome to Judge Afric Olafson. We're excited to work with you and look forward to the next few years with you. Anything you want to share? She looked frozen last time, like when it came up. She's on, I saw it. Okay. When she's here the next time around, it was just the turnover was very short notice, and she's on vacation, so we appreciate her even joining the board meeting.
I'm here. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, my audio is going in and off. I'm in the mountains, but thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be part of this organization. Beyond words. Thank you.
Thank you, and enjoy your vacation.
Thank you.
And hopefully cooler weather. Okay, so next on the list, since Judge Gillespie is or was our vice chair, we are now in need of a new vice chair. Dr. Kenton was our secretary and is willing to step into that role. So we do need a vote for that, but I also wanted to put it out there if anybody else was interested. If not, then
Motion to approve.
Second.
Quick. Second. Says no. Aye.
Recording
Thank you.
red.
Okay. Any discussion? We're good, obviously. Any public comments?
Any public
No
comment?
public comment.
Public comment.
All in favor? Aye.
Favors?
Any opposed?
Any opposed?
Any abstentions?
Any abstention?
Hear myself twice. All right, perfect. Thank you. So now, congratulations, Dr. Kenton is now vice chair. So now we need a secretary. So Jeffrey has volunteered to step into the
Motion to approve. Second. Second.
Any public comments?
No public comment.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, great. Thank you. So last on here, on my report is a reminder of the trim hearings. And I don't, Amy, I forgot my own packet. Can you remind me of the dates?
The dates for the September trim hearings are Wednesday, September 7th at 5:01 p.m. The second trim hearing is Thursday, September 22nd at 5:01 p.m. And the monthly meeting will be right beforehand on September 22nd at 4 p.m.
It is extremely, extremely important that we have all of our board here in person. So we want to make sure we have quorum, and the only way to be sure of that is if everybody shows up. So if we could please, if you could put that aside in your calendar and really try your best to be here, we would really greatly appreciate that. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. There's a lot on here, obviously, but for purposes that we know some of our board members have to leave. And want to make sure that we get through the agenda. So is there anything under consent agenda that needs to be pulled for abstentions or discussion? Okay, if not, then I will take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussions? Any public comments?
No public comment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Now we're going to go
Is that our biggest consent?
ever.
Ever?
Yes, it really was. But they were
that's-
easier
yeah.
ones. And it doesn't happen very often where we don't actually have to pull
Right.
things from the consent agenda either. So, all right. Right. All right. Yes. Well, that's why you guys are so amazing, right? We don't have to do the work. So next on here is the Finance Committee report. Kathy, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you. The Finance Committee met on August the 9th. I want to say thank you to our investment management company, PFM. They did an outstanding job of giving us an overview of our investments. And obviously this is a managed investment fund. It's a long-term portfolio with a focus on maintaining safety while addressing, hoping to add to our yield as best we can in these uncertain times. So PFM did a really good job of laying it out for us, and you can find the full report from the Finance Committee meeting if you would like more details. And I also want to say that you're all welcome to join the Finance Committee when we do those quarterly reports. It's really interesting, and it really gives us vision as to where we're going and the overall big picture. We have a lot of money coming into CSC, and we want to steward it with great respect, which I really felt like we are doing. And I got great comfort from that. We also discussed the millage rate. That was a robust, complex conversation that Cindy and Monty and the team have been agonizing over. So I'm going to let them give you all the details on that. Cindy, anything you want to add, or Monty?
So thank you, Kathy. So you all may recall at the last meetings in June, we had discussed, Monty and I had brought forward a recommendation to go to rollback rate, and Commissioner Furr, quite wisely as it turns out, although he caused us a little bit of palpitations at the time, said, let's advertise at keeping the millage rate flat because that gives us flexibility later going into the trim hearings to be able to bring it down. And while Monty and I were quite anxious about that to start with, as we kept reviewing the numbers and going through it, we did some other calculations based on like a middle, bringing it, there's really no justification for keeping the millage rate flat. But looking at sort of a mid range where we would reduce to 0.4, for those who don't keep track, we're at 0.4699 right now. Rollback would be 0.4305. The middle would be about 0.45. And so, you know, there was a bit of tension on the board and among us about how heavy a use of fund balance and how quickly we were going to draw that fund balance down by going to rollback. At the 4-5 level, you can see in the packet you had both rollback and, well, I'll start with the mid-range. I think we have another slide with that. So you can see at the 0.45 level, we would be using 17 million, almost 18 million in fund balance in the coming fiscal year to balance the budget that you already agreed to. Looking at what does that mean in the out years, there's so many variables. So we tried to keep a few of them constant. So for the next year, if we assume that there's a 3% increase in property values going into the next year, and we left the millage rate flat at 4.5 at that point, you would only need $14.5 million in fund balance. I really think that the following year, we're going to see a decrease. I don't know, I could be wrong, but we're already seeing a bit of a slowdown in the market, and that won't show up for next year's property values, but the following year is when it will start to hit. So with that sort of in my mind is why I started to feel more comfortable at this mid-range of 0.45, because then, as you can see, we're either going to have to, if it goes down 1% and we left the fund balance usage at the 14.5 million, we would have to go up to 0.4545. If it goes down 4%, we would have to go up to 0.4687. All of this, you know, it's a moving target. It's not an exact science. But Andrew, if you go to the next slide, you'll see, so that's pretty comfortable, right? That still leaves us below the cap. It still leaves us with a kind of constant use of that fund balance. Did we not, Andrew, didn't we put the rollback? No? All right. It's in the packet. The rollback rate has us using $22.5 million this coming year, and then maintains that kind of high level use of fund balance, or else having to raise the millage pretty close to the cap. So that's why the discussion at the Finance Committee landed at the 0.45. And when we look at the slide up now, the impact on the taxpayer at the 0.45 level, that brings our millage rate down 4.2% and costs the homeowner with a taxable value of $500,000, $224. If you went to rollback, that same taxpayer would pay $215. So it's a very small difference to the taxpayer, but provides a lot more stability for for the organization. Any questions about that? Yes.
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? Any public comments?
No public comment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? So we do have one abstention. Judge Afric Olson is going to be abstaining as she is statutorily prohibited from voting on millage. So if we could just have that documented. All right, now we're going to, I know the agenda is a little weird, but because we're in a rush, we're going to skip over the president's report for now, and I'm going to hand it over to Maria.
Maria, you're on
Maria,
mute.
you're on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. So good morning again. There are two issue papers under my report. The first issue paper is to approve the renewals for two contracts that were deferred at the May budget retreat. So one of them is the FIU Reading Explorers program that's brand new to us. This is the first year that we implemented that program, and we deferred it to give more time for us to assess how the program is doing. Staff has been really pleased with what they're seeing. We're getting very good feedback from parents, from the out of school time providers, and observations of the youth have been really positive as they are receiving the small group instruction. So we're recommending renewal of that program. And we'll have additional outcomes to share at the annual performance report document. So we'll get those outcomes at the end of October for the FIU Reading Explorers program. The other program that we're recommending renewal is one of our youth force programs at the city of West Park. They were on a performance improvement plan. They decided to subcontract services to Memorial Healthcare System, and they're really doing very well. They are fully enrolled with their program. All the kids have received their assessments, and all the required documentation has been completed, and they're implementing the program successfully. So we are recommending renewal for that contract as well.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Maria. We do have to take them separately because we have abstentions on one on each. So motion
For the reading, what's the name of it? Reading?
FIU, the renewal
FIU.
FIU. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions? Any public comments?
No public comments.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Me, yes.
Dr. Kenton is abstaining.
I'm abstaining from the contract renewal recommendation tab
Thank you.
because I am currently employed with FIU as well.
Thank you, Dr. Kenton. So now we need a motion for the renewal of West Park.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Any public comments?
No public comment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Oh, we don't have any there. Thank you. Oh, yeah. So now I'm going, thank you, Maria. We're going to come back
Thank
to
you.
you for the suicide prevention. But again, just want to get through our voting items. So I am now going to hand it over to Sue. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you and good morning. Before I present the issue paper with the action steps for your approval, I just wanted to provide an update on the asset-based community development RFP that was released in July and closed in August. I am sad to report that we didn't have any completed applications. And so we're reaching out to folks who we know are interested to kind of see what might need to be modified going forward. We are still hopeful and optimistic that it will come forward. And we're right now in a learning phase as to how that might be tweaked in the future. So just wanted to provide that update, and we'll probably come back to you with the revised RFP. And then the issue paper that I have for you is an update on a deferral that you approved in May for the funding of the backbone organization for Bridge to Life, which is one of the Children's Strategic Plan committees. Over the summer, folks have been working hard to propose and implement a new backbone organization structure, which is the Broward Education Foundation. Is very excited to assume this responsibility. And the first action item is for you to approve the designated funding for that contract, which would be $30,000 for fiscal year 22-23. And the second action item is to approve $10,000 for the Community Foundation to establish and apply for a College Access Success and Initiative grant, CASI initiative, which would establish an endowment for the local college access network, which is the Bridge to Life committee. So those are the two action steps. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Sue. And we do have to take these motions separately as well.
Motion to approve the first one, the Broward Education Foundation as new backbone organization.
Second.
Did I get that right? Okay.
Wait.
Tab
yes, you got that
Tab
right.
C. Okay.
Any discussion, questions for Sue? Any public comments?
No public comments.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I am going to be abstaining from this. I'm abstaining from voting on this as I am a board member for the Broward Education Foundation.
Thank you, Dr. Cartwright. So a motion on B.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Any public comments?
No public comments.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Kathy?
Oh, sorry. Yes, under B, I'm abstaining because James, my husband, is a board member for the Community Foundation. And although that doesn't include me, I'm abstaining just in case a perceived conflict of interest could appear.
Thank you, Kathy. So I'm pleased to announce that we got through all the voting items.
Good.
Record time. So I'm now going to go back to the beginning because Judge Gillespie has come in. And I just, as I was saying earlier, that Judge Gillespie's time on the board, unfortunately, has come to an end. And we are going to miss him and appreciate all the service that you've done for our community, really in all aspects of your professional and personal life. I've had the pleasure to work with you here on the board, but also in the courtroom, and it was amazing. And he is just somebody that I've always looked up to. And so we're going to miss you, but you'll still be around. So we'll still see you. And I just want to, before we invite him up for this wonderful gift, if anybody has anything that they would like to say. Yes, please.
Yeah. I hate to see you over there instead of over here because you've just been a fantastic addition to this board. You've brought lots of wisdom in your time here, and your experience was invaluable. So thank you so much for your service. We really will miss you on this. Appreciate having the new judge here, but we will miss you.
Yes.
If I could, the same judge. It was great sitting up here with you. Now what we've talked about, want to be able to have lunch someday, we can actually have lunch someday. So I'll be in touch.
Well, Judge, I wanted to say professionally, thank you so much for welcoming me to the board. Just with open arms and willing to just answer questions for me. When we nervously started, Jeff and myself, personally, thank you for taking time just kind of before meetings and afters to just encourage me as a husband and encourage me as a father. And so for that, I really want to just tell you thank you.
Yes, of course.
Judge, on behalf of myself and the staff, especially Andrew Leone. I really want to thank you for your service. You have been, and Amy, because both of them know that they could call on you, whether it was to sign checks or to go to a community event, as is evidenced by the photographs. You were always quick to say yes, without hesitation. You're an amazing role model, kind and generous person, even going so far as joining Judge Afric Olafson and I for a little orientation where he passed off his wisdom to her to know about this board. And I so appreciate you. And I am sure this won't be the end of our relationship, but I really want to thank you for your service on the board.
Yes, thank you so much. So,
Wait,
yeah.
wait. No, I'm keeping with brevity. Honestly, this is my first time sitting on this side of the table. Have you guys ever had this experience? No, honestly, because for the first time, it kind of put in perspective what Lester Holt from NBC News anchor, he once said that sometimes words can't describe the moment. You have to sit back, take it all in, and let the moment define itself. And it just came to mind. And this is one of these moments because I've never sat here. You guys do an awesome job. You really do. And it was a pleasure being able to be with you for the last 4 years. Also, what comes to mind is when President Kennedy in 1961 and his ambitious agenda to send to expand our space program to send a man to the moon, he asked, "How can we do it?" And one of the young staffers said, "You need to get a group of the brightest rocket scientists in a room and let them go to work." And it dawns to me that this county has a group of our own rocket scientists committed to children's services work, and they come to work every other month or every month, and you guys go to work, and you guys could give yourselves a hand. And again, it was a pleasure to be able to serve with the board. And one of the things to take away from this is that when you leave the board and somebody places you, the analogy that I use is that when surgeons go into a room, they always have a backup. So if something happens, that the backup can step in and finish the job. Sherry Affleck Olson is going to step in and she's going to continue the job and continue the mission. I assure you of that. Again, thank you for the opportunity, sir. Oh, that's too much. Thank you. And I need to get out of your way so you guys can go. No, that's not necessary. Why not just come up there? Why not just come up there? Make it quick.
Tracy's in the room. Here she comes. Here she is. Thank you, John.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. That was sad. So we're going to go ahead and I am going to pass it over to Cindy for the goo. Okay. So for, yeah, all right. So many good things have been going on this summer to share with you. So let me tell you that, during COVID, we decided to deploy the school nurses because we had some money left over at the end of the year. Schools were closed and the child care centers were struggling. So we allowed the child care centers to take advantage of those nurses. And we have continued that because, again, there was some money left over. So we were able to do it within resources. And we got a huge thank you up from one of the child care providers who was saying how blessed she was to have the nurses for the summer. And she doesn't use that term flippantly. As the pandemic has morphed into a new partner in our businesses, having nurses arrive every summer for the past 3 years has been a lifeline. This year, in addition to the pandemic, we have school violence and gas prices all contributing to the questioning of many in our industry if it's really time for a career change. These trained hands are deeply appreciated. For our children who need to be around joy all day at this tender age, the realities these valiant caregivers and teachers face has caused deep changes in their career realities. Health and safety is all we hear from families anymore, and rightly so. These are tough times, but all of us, and I speak for my community of childcare businesses in Broward County when I say our community continues to be so supportive of the Children's Services Council's brilliant plan to offer your agency services to us free this summer again is monumental. So I just thought you should know that you're making a difference there. Summer youth employment was a big hit again this year. Nearly 700 Broward County youth got to get real life experience this summer in so many different workplaces through our program provided by CareerSource. 16 to 18-year-olds worked for an 8-week period from June to August. They had a wage of $14 an hour, thanks to you all. And the participating employers are really branching out now. We had Advanced Roofing, Inc., the City of Fort Lauderdale, City of Hollywood, the Las Olas Company, Riverside Hotel, the School Board of Broward County Libraries, City of Oakland Park, and the Greater Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce, to name a few. And there was a very nice, I think we have a video to run.
Building an employment pipeline is more important than ever.
And that's part of the motivation behind a summer youth employment program. It's helping hundreds of young people look at different career paths with paid hands-on training. CBS 4's Jacqueline Quinn reports.
For young people, trying to pick a career path can be hard. That's why this program gives some an opportunity to see some fields up close, and they get paid.
In YLC, I was a hostess, a busser, I was a food runner. I helped with a little bit of everything. In HR, file scan.
It's been just 3 days on the job for Alexia Bynes at the Riverside Hotel. Bynes and Kendrick McNair are both getting hands-on experience working at the hotel. And for the both of them, this is their first job.
It's changed my mind a lot, actually, because I wasn't sure about a job at first, but I really like this place.
Sometimes when you're young, there are so many possibilities. That's why CareerSource Broward launched the Summer Youth Program to help point some in the right direction.
It teaches me a lot. Like, I didn't know nothing before I got here. Like, they taught me how to be responsible.
The two join about 700 young people taking part of the program that has over 70 employers participating across various fields.
It is a great program to introduce our youth, our future workforce, to employers where they make good connections.
According to the U.S. Labor Department statistics, there was nearly a 6% employment gain over the last year in the Miami-Dade, Fort Lauderdale area. Hospitality is facing the greatest worker shortage.
Really what it's all about is building confidence amongst the students as they're going into the workplace, because as you've noticed with the students that you interview today, they're all a little bit shy at this particular point.
And that's why the hotel has a rotation. And in the process, they hope young people learn more than just work.
I'm gonna buy clothes for school, and yeah, I just feel good that I don't have to rely on my mom anymore.
Besides this program, Career Source Broward helps people in various stages of life find jobs. In Fort Lauderdale, I'm Jacqueline Quinn, CBS 4 News.
Monroe student. It would have been nice if they gave us a little bit more credit, since they've been doing this not of their own. They weren't doing anything until we funded them, but that's okay. The important thing is that the children are getting the jobs and real life experience. So you're going to hear a little bit more later about the TIL system of care and how much it has developed. But I don't want to steal Christine's thunder, except to tell you about this year's TIL graduation, which took place on June 23rd at Calvary Chapel. And this is just such an amazing event. You see Dawn there. I know it brings joy to her heart and Christine's and everybody involved in the system when you recognize there were 129 graduates overall this year. And let me tell you, 19 middle school, 73 high school, 20 certifications, 11 AAs, 5 bachelors, and 1 Juris Doctor. So for those that think being in the system is a pathway to poverty and homelessness, there is an alternative. And our system of care that's been built over the last 20 years with flight at the core is just making such a huge difference in this community. Yeah, go ahead.
And I just want to say, I mean, it was a fantastic event. It's so nice to be doing these back in person again. It really does kind of change the whole, just the whole feeling of it. But really, Flight, Christine, and Cara, and ChildNet, and all those that helped fund this graduation really did such a fantastic job. I'm lucky I get to walk in and I take a picture or two and I handed out some certificates, which to me was fun and fantastic. They were so excited and happy, the kids, but just thank you guys so much, and to the community really for doing such a great job in putting this together. It was amazing. And the singer was great.
I think I told you last time about a meet and greet we had done with and when I say meet and greet, it's not just a hi, how are you, but an in-depth discussion with the state attorney's office and our New Day providers. It was really phenomenal. Maybe it happened after. Oh, okay. He had been asking about our diversion programs, and he didn't know as much as he wanted to about them. And he's very committed to that as a concept. And so all of the New Day programs were here with him. He stayed for over 2 hours, hearing in depth, asking really good questions about what those programs offer, how they support the effort to divert children, and the great results. Well, we also did it with BSO and CPIS, and our family strengthening providers. That's what you see here. We will be bringing, we are trying to improve those connections because there's been a real dip in referrals to our family strengthening programs. But we know, as we look at the system information meeting Dawn was leading yesterday, that there are a lot of families that would benefit from these programs. So we are building up those relationships as well. Back to school extravaganza. Andrew, next slide. We were back in person, baby. 3 of them took place this year, and they were fabulous. Again, the joy on these children's faces, the work that is done. Andrew, Sharetta, the team, Alexia, Danny. I mean, please, anybody whose name I didn't mention, don't get angry. I love you all. They work so hard to make this happen, and hands on Broward. And we were worried, Donna, that with Jody Sampson's retirement, that we would lose that social work connection, but no, her successor came through with flying colors. The schools were great. It really was a lovely, lovely event. 3 lovely events, thousands of backpacks given out. So,
You're so tiny. I thought it was a kid.
while standing next to Henry, I'll look like that with the judge too. We, the Harvard Accelerator project that we are co-sponsoring, that we brought to the county, did get kicked off. There was a little bit of press about it. As you can see, we're one of 5 places that were chosen. I'm happy to say that ChildNet and CPS, who really bear the brunt of the work that needs to be done, as a reminder, this is to increase the finding and the uptake of kinship placements. They are throwing themselves into this project. They realize how important it is. And I'm excited. Dawn, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a long time coming, I think. And I think that it kind of, Cindy brought this to our attention really at the best time. I mean, I guess I've been in the child welfare profession for 25 years here in Broward County, and we've always had issues in placing children in kinship placements. And so, and by the way, not because people aren't trying or really working hard to do it like CPS and ChildNet. That's not the case at all. Their staff work extremely hard, but it is a difficult thing to do. So I so look forward to them coming in and really helping us put processes in place that fit our community. Because, right, our community is obviously going to be very different than a lot of these other communities that you see here, like Ohio, New Hampshire, New Mexico, Colorado. I mean, so I know that once we get these in, we're going to improve. And then once we improve this, and we had our quarterly performance yesterday, and there's so many other indicators that will improve with just improving this one, like children reaching permanency timely, not coming back into care after their case is closed out. And so, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. So happy that CSC brought this to us, and I'm very, very hopeful.
Candidate Connection. On August 9th and 10th, we partnered with the United Way, Jewish Federation of Broward, and the Nonprofit Executive Alliance to do Candidate Connection. Again, back mostly in person, though, as you can see, we had a couple of candidates participating virtually. You may recognize this boardroom, and you may recognize some of the candidates there. So kudos to Megan, who really led this effort to pull this together. It is no easy feat. And we had more than 100 participants and 15 candidates across the 2 days, doing state house, state senate, and county commission races. They did a little different format this year, where the candidates had a chance to say their piece, answer a couple of questions, but then, as you see in the middle there, to mix and mingle, so that the providers really got a chance to have some one-on-one conversations, at least with those in the room. Beam, sorry.
So was this the first time this happened? Because I don't remember this happening before.
Candidate Connection?
Yeah.
We've done it every 2 years, but this was a different format. They usually haven't been at CSC. We usually hold them at provider organizations so that candidates can get familiar with some of the nonprofits. But this year, I don't know, with COVID and everything happening, it seemed we had the best accommodations for it. Sharetta, our own Sharetta, presented at a fatherhood conference. It was the 8th annual Fatherhood Conference presented by the Family Resource Center of the South Atlantic and co-sponsored by Wake County Human Services. The conference was held virtual and in person in Raleigh, North Carolina on Saturday, June 19th, and she was a co-presenter of the workshop entitled Fatherhood Begins Prior to Birth: Dad's Impact on Maternal Health. Very important topic. And she used data and lived experience to illustrate the importance of father's involvement during pregnancy and the relational effect on birth outcomes. Go Sharetta. Today, as a matter of fact, this afternoon, I will be presenting at the Contributing Factors panel at OIC's 2022 Middle Class Summit at the Seminole Hard Rock Casino. If you're there, I hope you'll come to this workshop. It's supposed to focus on workforce and economic development professionals, policymakers, and all community stakeholders to develop actionable solutions that will address any challenges facing the middle class and those seeking to enter the middle class. And speaking of summits, I heard from one of you, who shall remain nameless, that you did not have on your calendar September 23rd as the Youth Summit Series final event, where we will also be celebrating our 20th anniversary. So I hope you have it on your calendar. It's going to be a great day. I know some new things have come up that are now in conflict, but we have Laura Coates as our keynote speaker. Alexander Starr is doing the anthem, the new anthem for CSC. It will be the unveiling of the video that sort of traces the 20-year history. I invited all of the founding council members, all of the people who were involved in passing the referendum, actually all of the council members since the beginning of time. Sadly, many of them won't be able to make it. They've moved away, they're going to be out of town, but we've gotten some really nice comments back that I'll share with you next time about how they've watched the growth of the council and what it's done, and it's been really nice. And then finally, wanted to point out to you,
Where is that?
it's at
slow,
the Signature
slow on
Grand.
the take on this. Yes. Where is it going to be?
Signature Grand.
Signature Grand. Okay.
You all should have gotten a personalized invitation.
Okay.
It's not no, it's not too late. I don't know why the invitations went out. Well, maybe too many emails from me. I should have had it go from Amy, because then you would have opened it, but it came from me, so it was easy to pass by. We'll send them out again. And then finally, at your place, you should see the new family resource guide. We started a new thing this year. I keep trying to find ways to make all of the publications of the year hold together, like make sense that they all belong to that year. So we've now settled on color. So everything this year, starting with the budget book for 22-23, the proposed program budget, you may have noticed the cover was green. And now the resource guide is green, and everything for 22-23 will have different children, because we couldn't decide on one picture that we liked for everything. So instead, we went with the color green, and different children will be featured in different publications. This is the year of green, and then next year will be the year of blue or purple. And yes, there you go. Okay, that was my very long good of the order. And sure, absolutely.
The invitation you sent us, we respond to that invitation, or we just go online and register?
You can go online and register.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, the gubernatorial appointee process. I just wanted to, because we still have a couple of gubernatorial appointees sitting here, to remind you that, and for anybody listening, that all 5 gubernatorial appointees are coterminous with the governor. So that means January of next year, when either Governor DeSantis is reinstalled or a new governor takes place, regardless, it doesn't matter. The terms technically end next January. That said, so wait, let me back. So that is a fact. It's in statute. The process, as detailed in the statute, is that the county commission has to send up a minimum of 3 names for every vacancy. County Commission has their own application process that has to be completed, as well as the governor's application. All of that process will be kicked off by the County Commission probably in November. What we've heard in the past is people like to know who the governor is before they decide whether or not they're going to apply. So traditionally, the county commission has advertised it, and then we'll also blast it out, but it's their process to manage in November, fingers crossed. They'll advertise it, you'll have to fill out the 2 applications, then the county commission will review and make their decision. Traditionally, they have not designated like these 3 people for this seat, these 3 people for that seat. They just send up 15, 16, 18 names. The statute says a minimum of 3 names for every vacancy. So they've just gone up with no ranking, but that's up to the commission each time that they send it. By statute, the governor then has 45 days to make his appointments. The beginning of CSC, the governors met that obligation. The last 2 governors did not and contended that the people who were sitting stay until their replacements are appointed. So Jeff, Tom, the rest of the Kathy, don't think your dance card is clear on the 3rd Thursday of the month, starting in January. It is not clear until the governor makes their appointments. You are all free to reapply. Kathy, Tom, who've done this before, you're all free to reapply. It's up to the county commission who they send up and up to the governor who they appoint. I think that's everything I needed to tell you. It has taken up to 1.5 years to 2 years for the governor to make his appointment. So please, again, don't start giving away your 3rd Thursday of the month.
Committee dates.
Yeah, I mean, we had some council members a couple of cycles ago think, oh, I'm done. I didn't reapply. I've started we had someone start a new practice. So, and then I had to beg them each month to come back. So please don't put us in that position. Any questions about that?
Only can you, whatever, I know we have our process,
Mm-hmm.
but whatever you have, can you send it to me?
Yes.
Yeah. And then I'll try to make sure the rest of the commission is aware of this. So we're doing this first thing in November.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm supposed to talk to the folks in intergovernmental relations.
Okay.
And I'll ask, maybe I can come and do a presentation or something.
Sure.
I don't know if that would make sense, but
that would actually, if we do that, like the 2nd meeting in November would be good. Or maybe we could do that part before,
so that they're prepared for when it comes in.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
You're gonna talk with Marty Cassini?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Finally, that's it for me on the gubernatorial appointee process. Any public comment? Any of the council members online? Kathy? Paula?
Cindy, if I may, I just wanted to add, I really think if you're not planning, and actually all council members, knowing that there are people that will not reapply, we know people in the community that would be an asset to the council. And I think we should be introducing the idea to some qualified individuals so that we have some kind of impact going forward. Not that we get to choose, but at least if we can promote what a great seat and what an honor it is to sit as a council member, how much you learn, and the opportunity to give back to the community in this way. It truly is a privilege. I don't think many people understand it. So I think we need to educate the public ourselves so that we get qualified people to apply.
Thank you, Kathy. Really important point. Then I'll just call your attention to under the Chief Program Officer, we had skipped over item B. It really was just to make you aware that it's Suicide Prevention Month and or September is Suicide Prevention Month. There are a lot of activities happening and we'll be sending you information. We are very much involved in this topic and concerned about the impact it's having on our community. So that concludes my lengthy comments, and I will turn it back to the chair.
Thank you, Cindy. So I'm going to turn it over to Beam for the Broward Reads Coalition report.
This will be real quick, but we did have we had a meeting a couple days ago, and it was amazing all the stuff that went on during summertime. the both the Broward County Library just rocked it. They had so much stuff going on for all the kids, and all the sites everywhere. They just did. They had so many different programs, and they were doing all the coordination with the schools and the Children's Services Council, and it's pretty amazing all that's going on. I don't even know where to start on that, but it's to watch how it's grown over the last couple of years, and it's just Kim is just doing a fantastic job. Can't say enough for her. There is a big meeting on. Unfortunately, it's the same day as the Youth Summit. We're having the author for the Read for the Record is going to somehow we managed to get this author every time. I don't know what the rest of the world's doing, but we're getting the author every.
It's because we have the best Read for the Record program
in the
country.
That is why.
And you will get to meet him the day before, Beam, so that you don't have to miss our. He's coming in early, thanks to the vote that you made earlier.
I know. I will be there. But this one's going to be in person, so they're going to be bringing the author there. Hopefully, this is a great chance for all the media specialists in the schools to come. All parents. It's a fantastic day for everybody. So those are the kind of the two highlights. Big change was Lori. Lori's new job. Yeah, she's now the director for family, and you can help me on this.
Community engagement.
Yeah.
Base. Yes.
Yeah. And it sounded like we did have the percentage for third grade proficiency went up. We had gone down the year before, so we were always used to going up for 6 or 7 straight years, and during COVID it went down. So this finally went back up, which we were glad to see. Those are the main things. Yeah.
So, as critically important as reading is, we actually, myself and Senator Lemieux have put together an initiative that we're working with the district on a Florida Day that'll be across Broward. And it's not just at our elementary, it's actually going to be even into middle school, but reading is a core part of what that's going to be. So we're going to bring some new books in, and there's going to be community readers and a full day. So, and obviously we'll be coordinating with some same team that we're coordinating and doing this, but we're expanding that reading beyond.
Good.
And CSC is supporting that. So yes. So which I'm surprised you don't have. So I will follow up and find out why we don't have it. But I will let you know. I just wanted to build on the fact that we're really expanding it even further. So this is phenomenal. And the fact that CSC has such a pivotal role in this is really important. And thank you for your leadership, Bima.
Well, I'm really looking forward to the fourth grade history book.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be fantastic. Especially local history.
Oh yeah.
The kids are going to love that stuff because they're going to be able to see,
I'm going to love it.
I know. Exactly. I taught fourth grade history.
Oh, you did?
I did, because I taught fourth grade. And it was like drier than dust. When, what they give you,
right?
The textbook was just.
I remember it well myself.
Oh, yeah. And I was always having to bring local stuff into it to make it somewhat, and this is
right.
Perfect.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I am going to have to go.
Yes. Well, yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'm going to hand it over to Sue. Thanks, Beam.
Thank you. The Special Needs Advisory Coalition met on August 4th, and they will continue to meet quarterly throughout the year. They are operating with a redesigned infrastructure that now includes 5 impact teams, early transitions, community partnerships, legislative advocacy, snack events, and transition to adulthood. These teams will be using the collective impact model and results-based accountability with 2 chairs leading each team. And we're hoping that these teams meet about 8 times throughout the year. Additionally, the SNAC has launched a virtual community center using Padlet, which is a free tool that the partners have been working on to create an information hub that is easy to use and easy to communicate across all of the great work that's happening in the special needs community. And lastly, the focus for this year will be around prioritizing opportunities to increase community buy-in, cohesion among providers and consumer relationships, and raising awareness of the intersectionality that folks experience in the special needs community. So very excited about the launch of the work for SNAC this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to hand it back over to Maria for Funders Forum.
Hi, good morning. I'll be quick. So we had Funders Forum on August the 5th, and I just wanted to provide a update on the rollout of the 988 hotline. We had Frank from First Call for Help come and give us an update. They did do a soft rollout of the hotline in the first week of the hotline becoming available, the new number 988. They did see a 40% increase in call volume. Week 2 forward, it was a 15% increase. They are in the middle of a 3-phased marketing plan. And the first phase is messaging on how to distinguish when to call 988, 211, 911. And then they'll be moving into phase 2 and phase 3 at a later date. So wanted to share that information with you. 211 does expect call volume will increase after the national marketing campaign is released. And Kathy, I see you have a question.
I do. Maria, did you say 15% increase in the second week? No.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry.
15.
Yes. I'm
So
sorry.
I'm surprised. I thought you were going to say 50. So what's that?
You know what? They don't have an explanation for it. They shared 40% increase week 1 and then 15% increase week 2. So, you know, didn't give us what they think was related to that drop in increase.
Interesting. Maybe people were just trying it out the first.
Yep, could be.
Curiosity or something, but I'd be curious to follow that through and see what the increases are going forward.
Going forward.
We all spoke about how confusing we thought it was going to be. So I'm very curious to see how it rolls out. Thank you.
No, we'll keep you posted, Kathy. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Any other questions for Maria? Okay. So we do have 2 public comments. So I am going to turn it over to Michael Farver from South Florida Hunger Coalition. Is he unmuted?
Hold on. I'm trying to unmute her. Give me a second.
Oh.
Angie, just so you're ready, after Michael Farver, Zena also has asked for public comment.
Okay.
Allow them both to speak.
Okay, Michael is available to speak now.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. And this is Michael Farver, President and CEO of the South Florida Hunger Coalition. Greetings from Clemson, South Carolina. We're moving our daughter into her freshman dorm. I wanted to take just a moment on behalf of myself, the coalition, and our partners, Meals on Wheels, and Zena and Mobile School Pantry, to express our appreciation and thanks to the support shown to our organization by the CSC. And we're not only with this grant cycle, but in general over the years. The CSC has been one of our most stalwart supporters. Because of their support and their assistance, we've been able to serve the needs of tens of thousands of children. And we just want to say thank you. We're very proud to be a part of this organization and the work that they do. And we commit to doing the best job we can going forward to justify your support. Thanks.
And thank you, Michael, to you and your staff for all the great work that you guys do in our community. We appreciate it. And enjoy your time in South Carolina.
Thank you very much. And
I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Zena.
Zena, go ahead and unmute. Okay, Zena's ready.
Okay, go ahead. Zena.
Wonderful. Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Wonderful. I'm Zana Zane Woland, and most people in the community call me Z if you know me well. And I'm the proud founder of Mobile School Pantry. And I echo Michael Farber and the South Florida Hunger Coalition with our gratitude this morning to all the council members and raters on the RFP for food insecurity. We were elated to know that we were awarded funding. And I just wanted to come on and just say thank you on behalf of myself, my board, all the volunteers who help us with our mission day to day, and those who will most certainly be well fed because of your decision. Thank you for being alongside of us to ensure that families and children in our community truly have the resources they need to learn, grow, and flourish. You may not get to see those smiles of those that you're supporting in our community often, but please know your support and approval of these funds is tremendously impacting so many with access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And I'm just so eternally grateful to you all. And I wish you all a wonderful weekend and just thank you again.
Thank you, Zena. I had the pleasure of meeting you at an event that CSC hosted a couple months ago. And you really kind of walked me around and taught me all the things that you were doing. And you guys do really fantastic work. And the families that were there were so excited to see you. So we know that you're out in the community all the time because these families knew you guys. They knew you by name. It really was wonderful. So thank you to you and the staff for all you do.
Thanks so much.
Angela, is there any other public comments?
No other public comment.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we typically do it at the end during public comments, but you're more than welcome to share. Absolutely. Come on up.
This year. Thank you. My legs. We celebrated our 100th anniversary this year. And what we did in one section of our club, we made a book nook. And it's really, really terrific. One of the librarians is in charge of it. And we are starting to open on Sundays for a couple of hours for parents to bring the children in to have books read to them. And then we're going to have like a coffee and tea and place for them to chit chat and stuff. So that, and we also have the outside library, the little library outside on our wall for people to come by and take care of it. So I just wanted to share that with you. It's our small effort to make reading more important in our town. The other thing, it has really nothing to do with reading, but I just want to share with you because it's so exciting. Our fire department has come up with an Alzheimer's kit, not Alzheimer's, for the kids. Anyway, when they come across kids that have autism, I'm sorry, I felt my brain is not working. The fire department has come up with a kit, so when they come across accidents and needs with the children with autism, they have a kit that really tells them how to help and what to do with kids and distract them and whatever. So I just wanted to share that because we're going to push it over to our fire department too. It's just very interesting. But our little library is great. Our book nook is wonderful. We have first editions. We have books that are available for adults if they come in to read or to purchase, because our building was originally a library. That's what Women's Club did. So thank you. I didn't mean to take up much of your time, but I wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So do you guys take volunteers for the Nook to read with the children? Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
So you all have heard about Broward Reads in your city, and this is a great example of the partnership with the cities in our Broward Reads work. Thank you, Carol. She's a stalwart member of the Broward Reads Committee.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other public comments? I think I asked that already, but I forgot.
None.
Okay, thank you. So now I'm really I'm really excited because normally our roundtables are virtual, and they're here in person. I'm not going to introduce them because Cindy's going to do that, but I love them dearly. No, I'm going to hand it over to you. So I'm excited to have them here. Although I do see you quite often, but still excited to have you here in person. And so I'm going to roll it over to Cindy.
And I want to reassure you that even though the crowd here is small, there are many watching on TV. So you're not talking to no one. I didn't want you to think you had prepared for too small an audience. But yes, I am so excited to welcome Christine and Kara from the Flight Center. We have talked about flight many times over the years. I think most of you are familiar, but for those in the audience who may not know, the Flight Center was born, is it 15 years ago now?
Just about.
When the Junior League of Fort Lauderdale asked the question, how could they help with the kids aging out of foster care? They pulled a lot of us together. Dawn was there in her previous iteration, yes. And I was there, and we talked about this need for a central place for the young people to come. And it was where the vision was pretty simple then. They could get their checks, and when they went to get their checks, they could find out what other resources were available, because we were creating a lot more resources, and there were even then more available than they had any idea. And over these years, Christine is the second. So we have to give credit to Kristen, who was the first CEO. Christine is the second, but she was not new to the system of care. And she and Kara, her right arm, have just done amazing things to take this community resource to the next level. They're also not going to talk just about flight, but how the whole system of care has really developed. And it seemed like a really good time, as you just approved earlier in the agenda, some administrative support for them, because as with many agencies, they get a lot of grants for particular programs, but sometimes the infrastructure is left behind. And the way flight has developed, that has happened to a large degree. So I'm hopeful that with the support that you voted on earlier today, they will now really have the infrastructure to make the rest of these plans fly even further than they have already. I hope I didn't steal too much of your thunder, but I love you so much. And I love this public resource that you're shepherding. So with that, Christine Frederick and Kara Malave, please go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Dawn's choking. That's okay. Are you good? She's very excited about our presentation. All right. Good morning, everyone. So first, I saved and didn't do public comment because we were going to do this presentation. So I first want to start with saying thank you so much for voting today for Flight's expanded funding. It's going to be really life-changing for us. It's pivotal, for the center to have this support and this infrastructure that we're adding. And you'll see that us doing some of this is kind of part of our future plan. So we're going to talk fast. You got two Puerto Ricans here, so we're going to fly through it. So let us know if we're going too fast, okay? And whoever's controlling the prompter here, keep up with us. We're going to kind of fly through, although there's a lot of slides. It's more for informational purposes. As Cindy stated, Flight was created by the Junior League Community Foundation, the United Way, in terms of, officially. But we all know that the Children's Services Council and Jim Moran Foundation were there from the beginning. As Cindy said, there was a lot of roundtable discussion back at that time. I was at Handy at the time as a chief program officer, so I was also at the table when we kind of were brainstorming this idea of what Flight Center would be. And so I'm not new to TIL, neither is Kara, although we're the second kind of crew in at Flight Center. But it's been going for a while. CSC has been funding TIL for quite some time, since 2004 to be specific. It was actually how I got into TIL. I was working under the Future Prep grant, which was the original rendition of what TIL was in Broward County. And so at that time, I almost want to say there were three of us providers at the time, and it was very heavily focused solely on youth aging out of foster care. Very focused on dependent youth. Over time, you can switch the slide. We can keep on going. Over time, what was once Future Prep really evolved into what became HEIGHT, which is Healthy Youth Transitions. Okay, which is obviously one of the current funded RFPs now. Part of the focus of the RFP changed to include formal and informal foster care, so that included relative caregiver youth, DJJ youth, high school youth who were at risk of not graduating, or those who may be out of school, not working, and just, again, concerns about their progress to really age into adulthood. With that, as you see, our vision and our model, our mission statement and vision, expanded to really include a lot of those populations and to include a lot of the services that we're able to give now to the community. So on the next slide, what makes us unique is obviously that we are a collective impact model. We work collaboratively with all of the organizations that are within the TIL system of care, that are funded by HEIGHT, and that are doing other services throughout the system of care, either on the foster care side or for human trafficking, let's say Nancy J. Cotterman side. All of these different types of services are people that we collaborate with, and we bring all of those services together for one common mission of being able to make services available to youth all at one site in one location, which is called the Flight Center. And so, as I mentioned, these are the current HEIGHT providers that the Children's Services Council funds. 740 positions for life coaching, meaning life coaching slots that are available across the myriad of organizations that you see here, and that Flight Center refers to on a daily basis in order for you to have life coaching. And those life coaching agencies also utilize Flight Center's One Stop and the services that we have created there to make it easier access for those life coaches to put together the future plan for the youth. Next slide. If you see the model here, this is really kind of a model that shows all of the different pieces that come together, and there's various partnering organizations that are within each piece of those bubbles. Life coaching is part of it. We have added wellness, and Kara's going to go through very quickly all of the different services that are offered through Flight Center. We have services that are able to be accessed a la carte by the youth, but there's also services that we have been able to bring into the center that are not services that Flight is necessarily directly doing, but that we have made available to the youth inside the center. So I'm going to pass it off to Kara, who is my right and sometimes my left hand. Sometimes she's my feet, we just trade off. And she's going to kind of just run through quickly the services that are available at the center.
So good morning, everyone. Conwell, Chief Program Officer. So I want to talk to you a little bit about our access to services. This point is really the resource navigation point. Many times our youth walk into the door, they don't know what they need, but they need everything. So we're here to help. We partner with everyone. Department of Children and Families gives us a specialist that can help them with their Medicaid, their WIC, their TANF, their benefits in general. We partner with the Early Learning Coalition. You guys subsidize daycare waivers, so we're able to partner with them and get those referrals. We work with Broward County to make sure they get connected to the TOPS program for subsidized bus passes. And bus passes are expensive, so many of our youth, that's a cost that's inhibitive for them sometimes. We have an on-site food pantry in collaboration with the United Way and Project Lifeline, so we're able to produce food on-site. We distribute just over 10,000 pounds of food a week at the Flight Center currently. We help coordinate furniture donations. Many times when our youth move out, it's happy birthday, you've aged out of foster care, you're moving into your new apartment, and we're only giving you a mattress and a box spring and the rails. Okay, Flight Center is going to give you everything else. Happy birthday, let's decorate. and pick out your dishes. What do you want your bedspread to look like? Like we said, next slide. Education is one of our next pillars. We have an in-house GED program called College Boost. We partner with every major state university vocational program and military option. We give our kids whatever option works best for them, and it's really individualized, tailored plan. Last year, happy to report, we had over 25 graduates from our GED program, and 100% of them went on to post-secondary education. On top of that, we offered during the pandemic, many things shut down, but life skills need to keep happening. So we created Flight University, online curriculum. It would rotate every 5 weeks, would be a new channel. And the youth we are based on youth voice. So they were able to have input, learning everything from how to cook, how to make chicken Alfredo, to talking about human trafficking, to learning about cryptocurrency and first time home ownership. So really tailored to different skills that our youth are looking for. And additionally, we do have peer staff that help drive our You Matter programming. We don't move without the youth being present. So much of our programming is centered around their evolving needs. Next slide. Employment, obviously you heard a lot today about CareerSource, SYEP, they're one of our partners. We have a CareerSource program for workshop training. We do everything from never had a job to I work in a warehouse, but I need to make more money. How do I do that? Training. So we will work with youth where they are. Our job coaches are phenomenal with partnering with community partners and really helping our youth overcome their challenges. Maybe they have a background, maybe they have children, maybe they have no soft skills, and really helping them learn the skills they need to be successful and economically self-sufficient. So we have an employment closet, small little closet that our job coaches will help you get ready for interviews, dress for success, the whole prep, take them to their interviews, walk through it. So our employment team is great. They helped over 500 kids in the previous year. Next slide. Housing. So housing is, I want to say, Christine and I walked into Flight Center in 2017, and Flight Center was housing just over 100 youth coming out of foster care, and it was literally just finding apartments, dropping them in apartments, and that was pretty much it. Kids were becoming homeless after 3 months. They were blown out of apartments. Any 18-year-old who you give keys to an apartment, they're like, woo, freedom. I don't know how to act. Okay, let's get this together. It was really, really not a good thing. It was really a cycle of homelessness. That's really what it turned into. So we came in, it started with one person, and we're like, okay, we really need to fix housing. How do we go about doing that? So we kind of scrapped the housing program and started from scratch. In the community, there was a lot of resources for foster care, but if you were non-relative care or kinship care or a homeless community youth, there was not many options. CSC, along with Handy and oh my God, ChildNet and a couple other folks, maybe weren't playing so nice in the sandbox or communicating the way they should be. So we created an MOU and let's figure out how we're going to communicate better. How can we collaborate? And over time, I'm happy to say we no longer need that MOU. That MOU has been abolished because we have been so collaborative with each other in the last 5-6 years now that we really have become the housing ground. We partner with everything from private tax credits to private landlords, housing programs, rapid rehousing. We've essentially built a housing continuum of care that helps keep our youth out of the homeless population and out of the homeless continuum of care in Broward County, and helping to reduce some of our homeless numbers here in Broward County. So we're very, very proud of that. Next slide. Wellness. This is one of our newest initiatives, thanks to Corona. So one thing we can be thankful for, that we were able to build a wellness program. And really it started with mental health services and making sure that the staff who were taking care of these youth in the community had somewhere to go. The youth had somewhere to go. The whole world was shut down, and our youth were experiencing traumas and mental health issues. So started with our director of health and wellness and just some in-house therapy, and it has expanded into a full program, including a partnership with Children's Diagnostic Treatment Center. We have a fully operational clinic that will do pediatric and adult appointments for our youth up to age 22. And so it's a one-stop shop. They can get all the services that they need. If they need specialized care, they are able to utilize utilize CDTC's downtown center in connection with Broward Health. We have on-site crisis interventionists, thanks to BPHC. We have mental health outpatient services, medication management, really trying to help solidify that one-stop resource model, because we know that many of our kids, their health indicators are poor because they're not accessing community resources. I know most of us struggle trying to call our insurance when we have a problem. So our youth are lucky that they can come in and we're able to help navigate whatever those challenges may be so that they can, get the services they need in a preventative measure versus in a reactionary measure. Next slide. And then human trafficking services is something we've been working on over the last 5 years probably. There's, as you may know or may not know, there's a lot of crossover, sadly, between youth coming out of foster care and our human trafficking population. A lot of people may not know, but Broward County does have a lot of youth, sadly, who have been human trafficked. This is a statistic we're hoping to, impact. So in our work through homeless services and helping reduce homelessness for human trafficking youth, we expanded our services to include, specialized services for youth 10 to 24. That includes mentorships, clinical supervision, and really helping those youth transition away from human trafficking back to some type of self-sufficiency. Next slide. And I'm going to turn it over to Christine to talk about system of care coordination.
So again, you hear a lot about some of the direct services that are going on, and I want to go back and just, for wellness, some of the things that evolved with CSC was that therapists ended up being in every height program, and that was part of focus groups that were run with the height providers, talking about the need for therapists. Flight's behavioral health and wellness piece, the physical wellness piece will be available to all of the height youth and beyond. The behavioral health pieces are to fill in the gaps and either manage crisis when they first come in Flight's door and then get them over to those height therapists, or for any youth who may not be eligible for height programming for some reason, we will have some of that. But the therapists in the height programs will be the primary therapists assigned to a youth if they're in height programming. And for housing, when we talk about just the past, the present, and future of housing, there was one person in housing before. The last time that we approached CSC was for emergency funding to expand our housing program, because it was at a critical point where a lot of what was going on with housing was just because of lack of capacity. We had one person on the team, and it was very difficult to manage the relationships between the landlords and the youth and ChildNet and all of it. So, when we talk about having scrapped housing, we kind of scrapped what wasn't working and what was bad business for landlords, which is why they were kind of walking away from some of the relationship with ourselves and ChildNet and the young people. But there was a lot of, to the credit of the team that was in before us, Kristen Garisi and those folks, there was a lot of things that were already set up in place with Florida Housing Finance Corporation, with tax credit properties and things like that. So, we kept what was working. We kind of evolved what wasn't working, but that was the last time we approached the council for an expansion, was to really develop a team. And JM also participated in that and does help fund that, so that there would be a 3-person team that would help with the age outs, and we would be able to do a lot of the liaising with the landlords, going in and doing housing success coaching, different from life coaching. The housing success coaches go in and just really look at what is working inside the apartment. We try to catch red flags before they hit the waves, right? And the landlord gets all worked up, and we make sure that then we implement the life coach and the youth team to mobilize and respond to any emergencies going on within housing. For system of care coordination, this is part of what Flight Center's main function is as well, is to really be the system lead, to make sure that our collaborations, which are in excess of 52 collaborations, are working together. We host the monthly life coach meetings. So that's the meetings that are really with all of the life coach agencies that are funded under HITE and others that may be doing work in the TIL system of care, to come together to do trainings, to talk about what's working, what's not working. We do file reviews, or kind of case reviews, if you will. I am also the chair for the TIL steering committee, which is part of the Children's Strategic Plan, and we meet every other month. Which you'll see here, we produce a Turning the Curve report, so you can change slide. And in the Turning the Curve report, you know, we really are showing what the progress is within the TIL system of care, and of course, what the impact of Flight Center is as the center of that TIL system of care. We also are the housing ground for Hope Court and for the youth systems organizers. And we are being studied by the Florida Institute for Child Welfare for quote unquote clear potential and translational. Sorry, we're going to start that over. Clear potential for translation to policy and practice recommendations in regards to what TIL services could look like possibly throughout the state and perhaps permeate other communities, learning from what, you know, Broward County has put together here as a TIL system of care. If you look at the Turning the Curve report, you'll see the increased numbers in youth that have been served by the TIL system of care and by Flight Center. Here in you can leave the other slide. Here in housing, you'll see the increase in numbers of housing since we started. In addition to that, obviously the increase in units that we've been able to now keep stable. We have the good problem in housing where we're at a shortage of units because youth are actually maintaining stability within their apartments and within their placements, which means that those apartments are not turning over and becoming available for other youth who are aging out. So we're constantly increasing our units and increasing our relationships with landlords. Next slide. Next slide, sorry. This is our overall impact for Flight Center, and we report these this outcome and this impact to the Children's Services Council biannually. So we do it at 6 months and at the end of every year. Our numbers that are reported here, though you may have youth that utilize education and employment or housing and college boost, our numbers for overall services, the 2,300 is unduplicated numbers. These are singular youth, so 2,300 individual youth that have been served by the Flight Center and the TIL system of care. Part of, you can go to the next slide. Part of these next slides is for us to really talk about what the future focus for Flight Center is and what has been our focus to date. If you see, you know, what we have here, what we tried to depict was it takes kind of like a bucket or pie, if you will, to complete and to really fund each area and each pillar, if you will, that is available at Flight Center for Youth. What we've worked on in the last few years since Kara and I have been here has really been diversifying the funding. And so while we have smaller pockets of funding that might not be visible here, some of our major pockets are there, and you'll see where some of the primary funders have stepped forward to handle certain areas. So you'll see for for employment, for example, CSBD is one of the main funders. They give us 3 navigators for employment, 2 that are dedicated to system of care youth that are really foster care related, and 1 that's related to human trafficking. Housing is an area that you'll see really a diversification of funding. There has been a lot of progress in housing, and that has allowed us to build out a continuum of care for housing, where if the youth is not eligible for some reason for their EFC or PES funding, we're able to bridge the gap through other funding measures so that the youth's housing does not become unstable, and the team has time to work with the life coach agency on making the youth eligible once again so that they can go back onto EFC or PES funding if they're a foster youth. This has also allowed us to serve youth who are not traditionally in foster care, that are not coming with those housing dollars or that EFC and PES funding, which is really important. Coming from Handy, where I was a chief program officer, we often had that struggle of relative and non-relative caregiver youth not having that EFC or PES funding when they age out of the system. And it made it very difficult for us to house them there. Homes Inc. was one of our primary partners in that. But we really needed to kind of go beyond that, because as we were seeing some of the other youth that fall under height now, and the other populations that Flight Center serves that are all really coming from a trauma background, we needed to kind of diversify that funding to make sure we had an answer for everyone. And that has allowed us to have a very robust continuum of care for housing. And in the wellness department, you won't see a slide for resource navigation, because that's really what was added today through your vote. It has been probably, and you know, wellness is often going now, which is phenomenal. Our resource navigation team has been the part that has really struggled along the way, because what has happened is that staff members from other departments have kind of covered some of these navigation pieces, and you can only do that for so long, right, before you divide and conquer and things start to fall through the cracks. So we're extremely grateful. You can go to the human trafficking slide. Again, this is impact to Broward County directly. We did secure a federal grant to have a safe house for HT females here in Broward County, and then funding from the Open Doors Outreach Network directly impacting Broward County for a team of 4 people that are able to support with human trafficking services for those youth that overlap with DCF. And our last note is really future focus for Flight Center. Flight Center has undergone strategic planning. We have done this historically for years. Every 2 years, we do a new strategic plan with our incoming or outgoing president of our board. And one of the things that we've learned along the way is not to do a strategic plan and have it collect dust on the shelf. So we're very interactive with our strategic plan. We also have a development plan that has been developed, and what we're working on right now with Dr. Ferrante at Group Victory and with Children's Services Council is creating a unified business plan that really shows the direction that Flight is headed in the future, both with the strategic plan, development plan kind of coming together and showing where we're headed. The importance of that is going to be for us to really be able to show how Flight is going to become sustainable long term, and how we're going to, what our future focus is going to be. We are working on creating a sustainability fund at the Community Foundation of Broward that will allow for us to have dollars that will be held in reserves and allow us to take a line of credit against those dollars so that we're able to lay out, as we increase our government dollars, of course, we have to lay out the money before we get it back. And for an organization that's growing and that's in that growth stage, it's always a little bit difficult. So we're undergoing that process as we speak. That will help with sustainability. We have hired a major gifts fundraiser, our chief development officer that has joined the team. Again, this funding that you all voted on today will speak volumes to what Flight is able to continue to do in the community as far as resource navigation. We just found out yesterday, we were awarded a Community Foundation of Broward resiliency grant, which will allow us to actually build a server for Flight Center. We've been operating off of OneDrive, which is kind of like a server, but it's also really scary. So because people don't push stuff into the server. So we're kind of growing up, and I love this analogy because we're in TIL, right? So we talk about youth aging into adulthood and all of the struggles that come with that. And Flight Center in its growth and development is much like a TIL youth, right? We kind of started off here, we've grown up, we're aging into adulthood, and we have to actually do all of the big boy, big girl things that come with being adults. And some of that is really infrastructure and capacity and all of those things. And then our last main goal is really going to be the study with the Florida Institute for Child Welfare and Barry University. That is we have our model documented and trademarked and copywritten, but having the research behind the model that Broward has created for TIL is going to be imperative. And the Florida Institute for Child Welfare has funded Barry University to undertake that study. We will be working with CSC's outcomes department to collect the historical data for height and future prep, everything that has taken place to really create this model in Broward County. And it really is a testament to the whole model of Broward. Flight Center is what it is, but it's really a representation of the collaborative of Broward County. So even though we're one organization, it's really a collective impact model where it takes all of these things to make it happen together. One thing can't survive without the other, and we really have to show what impact has been made here, and a lot of it because of the Children's Services Council. So they'll be pulling data from our TIL database. We'll be calling CSC for help on getting all of the historical data, but again, this will go directly to the Institute for Child Welfare. This will advise directly the Secretary of DCF. I sit on the ILSAC committee, which is an independent living subcommittee and it's an appointed position for DCF, and will probably end up being co-chair this year. And so we've heard across the state from a lot of organizations, all of the CBCs, about what they're doing in IL. Some folks are doing great, and then there's just some folks who are really struggling. And so our hope is that we'll be able to take the model that has been created here in Broward and be able to give either a blueprint or some form of support across the state to change what IL looks like for other youth. So, and that's it. Thank you so much. Any questions or?
Yes, any question? I mean, listen, there is no place like Flight in the rest of the state at all. So she's really, I think, downplaying it a little bit. It just runs very differently when you don't have that outside provider to really take care of those very special needs. You know, when you have case managers that are carrying caseloads and just can't do it. When you have a program like this and they really care about these kids, I mean, you just,
Dawn's there all the time, so she sees it.
I mean, you just really have to watch them. It's unbelievable to me. But I'll stop. So Donna,
So I remember Flight Center at its fruition. I was actually on the Children's Services Board at the time, and there was truly this collective conversation about where was the support going to come from and how do you take this idea into the reality. And when Kristen started it, it was really from scratch, right? Great idea, but then how do you bring this? So the fact that you have taken that concept and made it everything that it is today is really incredible. And so thank you very much for doing that, because you really get them once they leave our school system, right? And so the reality is you're still giving them the things that they need in that next stage of life. So thank you very much for seeing all the different unique needs that those our children have, because in many ways they are still children. So the fact that you still give them that support is incredible. Thank you.
Thank you.
and a lot of time, in many ways, I agree. You know, you make a really great point. Yes, they're still children. I mean, you know, my oldest son is 21 and he's still a baby. Well, not a baby, but a kid that can't necessarily make those real hard decisions, right? But when we have our kids that are growing up in the foster care system, it's even different than like your kids and my kids. They haven't had that same kind of support. And so you're having to teach them all of those things that they haven't been able to learn. So, yeah, I mean, they are kids. Jeffrey.
Just very impressive. Privileged to see how you guys have grown and how different aspects of life you touch on for these kids, and you know, everything from chicken Alfredo to, you know, housing. It's amazing how you impact these lives. And have you had the privilege of watching one of these children go through your process and come back and give back to the organization? Have you seen that?
Yes. We have a lot of young people working, you know, for Flight Center. I've been in this for 20 years. I know I look dashingly young, but you know, I've been in this for 20 years, which means I really started off as a baby. And it's been amazing. The best part of that is that, you know, when you're in it for 20 years, you have your youth who come back, who are really kind of like part of your family now. And they're, you know, some of the unintended consequences of height is that they're amazing parents, and they hold, you know, what they want their family to look like to a higher level because of what we taught them within the system of care of being a family. And we were that pseudo family, and it runs across agencies. You know, I was at Handy at the time, but you see it across all the organizations. And I think the beautiful piece is sitting at Flight Center, we're able to see all of the different ways that the agencies kind of handcraft, right, what their services and programs look like, and what we're able to not only support those agencies in, but support our young people in. So we have so many young people that work for us. We have some of our young people that work for us that are in our youth systems organizers. You know, I always think of Shanika because, and she's super hard on herself. She thinks she's not doing great, and she's an amazing young person, but so intent on giving back, so intent on doing this work, and giving back to Flight, and to kind of pass the baton down to those young people that are coming after. And you know, the pressure on our young people to have it all figured out is immense. We know that in regular functional families that are well intact, it's difficult, right? As Dawn is saying, her 21-year-old. And so the thought process that at 18 you're supposed to have it all figured out is you know, is crazy. And even at sometimes 21, 22, 25, they're just, you know, getting it nailed down and starting to figure out who they are. So the fact that we've been able to build a system, you know, during COVID, a lot of the young people who were experiencing difficulties, they might have been 26 or 27. They came back to the same system of care, the last place that they were a part of, which was our system of care, and came back for help. And we helped them, because how as a family member do you say, there's a crisis, go to a different system of care. Well, those system of care, those systems are overburdened. And so we found a way. And it's just been incredible to watch. Honestly, again, I came from one agency, but now sitting at the epicenter, it's been incredible to see the evolution. It's the collaborations are just phenomenal. We couldn't do anything that we do without all of the other agencies that are at the table, without the HIE providers, without the other foster care agencies, Children's Harbor that has them pre-aging out, and SOS Children's Village and all of that. So we have just this huge family of support, and my hope is that we'll be able to replicate that one day and bring it into other communities so that our youth have a better chance. So thank you again.
That's great to hear, and not to leave you hanging down, but as I was talking, my 30-year-old through a work issue last night, and I know I don't look that old, but it's a lifetime transition that you have an obligation to that person, whether
Right.
they not how old they are. So,
Right, especially here in Broward, where the cost of living is high. We talk about the Alice population, and our youth are definitely part of that. So again, being there for them and just seeing them through those difficult moments is really, heartwarming for us, but it's tremendously important for them. So
Yeah. And Kathy has her hand up as well.
Thank you, Dawn. Ladies, all I have to say is wow. I know Flight has been doing incredible work. I was there, I think almost 18 months ago now for a site visit. I'm even more impressed. That was a brilliant presentation. You gave me great comfort that you have your arms around this community. And I have to say, one of the things I love about you and your team is that you keep adjusting and pivoting to the needs of your family, of your community. And now I read somewhere in your report about disconnected youth. So I think that gives you a very broad, it's not just the foster care kids, it's not just your LGBTQ kids. You are now saying disconnected youth, which really opens up anybody that is in need of support and help, that can find their way to you. So I know there's so many right now, and I think we're all looking to you guys to see what you have done with housing, and you mentioned Alice families. All of our Alice families are now on their knees and needing housing. And I think your ability to collaborate and share and collect the data is really helping the community overall. So I just want to say again, wow, thank you. I'm so glad that CSC is able to support you, but you guys are doing incredible work and you deserve the support. So thank you.
thank you so much, Kathy. Yeah, and our population has expanded. Our thought process was, why reinvent the wheel if we have young people who are experiencing some of the same barriers that our foster youth were experiencing, that our youth that interface with dependency were experiencing? Why reinvent the wheel if what the center is doing is working, right? And so let's leverage let's just pool the resources together, and you're able to do more with less, right? But including more populations and including those that are really disconnected and coming from a history of trauma. That's really been our focus. But I will credit the housing continuum that we've built here to my right hand over here, Kara. She's a genius when it comes to that, and we just have just an amazing team. Nothing again that we do happens alone in the system of care, but it certainly doesn't happen alone at Flight Center either. So the staff is phenomenal.
I encourage anyone that hasn't come to take a tour recently. We moved into our new building about 3 years ago, right before
COVID, of course.
The pandemic. We were lucky that Ultimate Kronos Group, formerly Ultimate Software, came over and did a makeover. Since we've installed the clinic, it's gotten another makeover. So we really have tried to create a home for the youth, a place where they feel welcome. It doesn't feel institutionalized. Like, we literally have kids who come just to hang out during the day. So you will see little ones and bigger ones, and it is really a family affair. Our staff, we like to act as a family. Somebody's cooking lunch, everybody's eating lunch. Like, this is what it is. So if you have time, we're right off of Commercial and 33rd. Pop in. We'd love to give you a tour anytime. You're welcome.
Thank you all so much.
Wait. I just want to say,
I've watched Christine over the 20 years since she started as a child in this work. And it has been an honor and a privilege to watch you and be part of your growth. And I think the hard part for other communities is going to be bottling the passion and the love. I remember one of the first things that I saw when I got involved in the TIL system of care. I think we were in Tallahassee. It was me, Kirk Brown, and Christine, and the young people were calling mom and dad to ask, on everything. And whatever the time of day, night, they were there with a loving heart and a caring word. And that spirit has never gone away and really infuses our system of care. And I think that's why Broward County is special. And I hope that makes it into all of the, as they look at numbers and they see the success, it's not just about what's written on paper, it's about the heart that is behind it. So kudos. And Kara, I haven't known you as long, but I know that passion is just as much in your heart. Despite everything that you've gone through personally, you are always there for the kids. And one thought that sparked when Kathy asked the question about housing, I think one thing that we may want to talk to the cities, Carol, and United Way and others about, of course they're dealing with a much smaller group, but a tough population. But the way we responded as a community when the landlords were reasonably not happy with the population and therefore not willing to take them in was working both with the landlords to explain the population and working with the young people and creating a liaison. They talked about this a little bit to say, if you have a problem, come to us and we'll work on it to dial it down. And I think some landlords are afraid of taking in homeless because they think there's, and homeless can mean a lot of different things. People can be homeless for a lot of different reasons, but there's that same level of anxiety. So maybe creating that kind of a system, that kind of an intermediary and training within cities, within the United Way homeless might be a way to support. Yeah, Carol. Oh, okay.
We have a thing when we go to landlords, if you take someone in, a family, anything happens, in the middle of the night, there's somebody there you can call, and they come right out and help.
Oh, great.
I just wanted to know that.
Yay, so it exists.
And it helps.
It's hard to get landlords. We try so hard to get the landlords in and tell them this is a good thing, it'll protect your property, but we're working on it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mostly landlords want to know that they're going to get paid, that they're going to have someone to call if something happens, and all of those things. But Cindy, I just want to say thank you so much, because a lot of who I am is because of your mentorship and because of the mentorship of folks like Melanie Burgess, who, at every turn, anytime we came with the easy answer, they were like, no, I'm going to challenge you. Think deeper. And it's good because that's how you really grow and how you evolve and do things in a smart way. So, but the passion, it spills over from CSC. And that's something that the council members should know, is that the passion that the team has here and that Cindy has led with spills over to the agencies. And we all want to do a good job. We want to have the CSC and Cindy and all of the other people that we work with, the Sues of the world, be proud of us. And that's something that we all strive to achieve. And I think you all need to know what that impact is, because when you have a place like CSC and United Way and CFB who care about the community, it spills over to the agencies that they're funding to say, okay, well, we can't just half-ass this. We got to we're going to do it. We're going to do it all the way. And we got to care. And that, alongside working with the populations, that also helps to fuel us on the program side of really continuing to do that quality work, because we don't want to let anyone down, not the youth and not the folks who have faith in us to actually do the work. So kudos to you as well. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Have a great month.
Recording stopped.